Hello and welcome to the sideboard here at Somerset. We've already started the Standard Open. I'm here with Rudy Briksza. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you're playing a deck. It's a little old and a little new, I would say. Actually, if you're familiar with something Jeff Hogan's been playing on the Open Series, he's had a lot of success with Rug Flash. You have some of those elements in this deck, but really it feels a lot closer to the old Rug decks from way back when, with Explorers and Jaces and Titans. Because you're, curving up to a pretty big top end with Prime Speaker Zagana. Definitely not a threat you see in Flash, Thragtusk as well. So, what made you want to fuse these elements together?
So, one of the most important things that I wanted to do is I really wanted to play with Ralzeric. I think he's actually good. In testing, he's shown that he actually has a lot of potential. And I was trying to figure out what's the best shell for Zarek. And I thought the best shell was when you're ramping into something, when you have something to do. And I kind of put pieces together based on that. I knew I wanted to play Thragtusk and Huntmaster alongside Ralzeric. And from there I kind of led into, I didn't think Thragtusk and Huntmaster are enough. I need a bigger threat. I know a lot of times with this deck, you're going to run out of your entire hand, and you're going to need to refuel, and Prime Speaker Zagana is the perfect card for that. Even though some of these cards may not be always good, like Snapcaster or Avenger, they work very well with Zagana because you can just play Zagana, draw a few cards, and get right back into a game that you just weren't in before.
It really gives you some of the same play that you had in the Prime Speaker Bant deck, which was, it could curve out some reasonable mid-range creatures, actually pressure the opponent, and then, just refuel with a Prime Speaker, start playing like gigantic cards. You don't have access to things like Angel Serenity, but you can, continue to stream threats at them, and you have actual removal spells. You can handle their creatures.
Right.
Which before, that deck was pretty much all in on Angel Serenity to do. It's like frontline medic. Well, that is. I can't really do anything. So one of the removal spells you're playing, in addition to Ralzeric himself, of course, is a Turn and Burn. And I know Calcano is also playing this deck or something very similar, and he loves Turn and Burn. So how's it playing for you?
Turn and Burn has been very good for me when I have it. I've used the burn side a lot more than I've been able to use the turn side. But most of the time, I've really been able to utilize it very effectively. It's really good against creature decks. It's been very good for me against junk. I played Black-Red Zombies twice today, and both times just having the burn on turn 2 was just really good. And able to turn a Grolsch Messenger or a Falcon Wrath Aristocrat has been just so good for me. Being able to actually take care of creatures that you wouldn't normally be able to deal with in this kind of shell kind of gives you that out too. There are a couple creatures that you probably just can't beat with the deck, and Turn and Burn just gives you that out to whatever you need.
Yeah, it's an excellent solution to a lot of them. Obviously, it can sort of trade with a Thragtusk. They still get their 5 life or whatever. But being able to, nab an Obsidat, nab an Angel Serenity, these things are very reasonable. Kind of interesting to me is, it can play that Searing Spear role. It's only worse than Searing Spear against like a small handful of creatures, right? Like Flint of War is the big one,
right.
But against most everything else, it's about the same.
Yep.
But you really get a lot of long game flexibility with the turn. And that's what decks like this are definitely looking for. You want ways to use your mana. That's why, you turn to things like Kessig Wolfer in the first place.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of using your mana, we talked a little bit about the Flash elements. You're actually running some interesting splits. As a Snapcaster Mage deck is wont to do, run a lot of different spells. You've got Wolfear Avengers on 3 in addition to Dissipates. I like that mix. Have your opponents just had to be kept guessing at that point?
Yeah, I mean, there were several times where I just flashed in a Wolfear Avenger to block, and my opponent was just caught off guard, and they would just assume that they could attack into it, and I just had to Dissipate afterwards too. So you get kind of that mix where they're not sure what to expect, and that's why I kind of split a lot of the cards, and I shift them. Also playing a couple Searing Spears and an Izzet Charm, and just having all this variety and having all these tools is what a deck like this really needs. Sure. And I think a lot of the decks now, they're too focused on trying to do one element, and they're getting crushed by a lot of decks that are just designed to beat that one element. And I want it to be able to be open, I want it to be flexible, and I want to be able to take these cards and go into what I'm doing. As we talked about before, Searing Spear, I was on 3 last night, but I was talking to Calcano, and we both agreed that Angel Serenity is a very, very hard card for us to beat. It just is. In Turn and Burn leaves all the creatures exiled, so unless they exile all their creatures, Turn and Burn may not always be the best, and that's when we talked about Rapid Hybridization. And that card right there has just been very good for me all day. My opponent, during testing against Blue Eye Red Flash, my opponent would Searing Spear my Huntmaster, and I just hybridizationed it and made it a 3/3 and just tested it, and they just couldn't do anything about it. You just run out of answers eventually, and that's what I like having. You have a wide variety of answers, wide variety of threats, and you're never really out of the game.
Yeah, I really like the singleton hybridization. It offers a lot of flexibility. Obviously not a card you want to overload on. It's very bad in multiples, generally speaking, but having access to one, maybe two a game, pretty reasonable. I'm really digging the Yave of Nature's Herald as well. Just the one of makes Thragtusk way more horrifying than usual, I think.
Yeah, just last round, I slammed a turn 4 ever against my Black-Red Zombies opponent, and they just kept attacking every turn, and I just flashed in Thragtusk, and it was just close after that. Yev is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm kind of wishing I didn't cut the second one almost, but it's provided a lot more than I thought it was going to do. I thought it's not just a 4/4 flash that gives all your other creatures by. The fact that it's a 4/4 just provides you a solid wall against
almost
everything.
It can change the momentum like in a big way, especially when you're racing the opponent and you're a deck with Thragtusk. That's even bigger. Moving to your sideboard, you have a few interesting cards. Some normal stuff, negates and whatnots.
Right, Dispel, a second cavern for all the control decks.
Yep. But you've also got 3 acidic slimes. I imagine you're switching out some elements against control decks that are a little more creature-oriented for those.
Right. I'm actually also using acidic slime for the junk mirror, for the junk deck as well. They're very, very mana-intensive, and a small slip-up on their end, acidic slime can just ruin their day. It can just end it. Especially if they're playing Volatile Troll, you can just shoot all their black sources and just leave them without an ability to regenerate.
Yep, you've got access to Bonfire of the Damned to clear out the mana guys, plus your own removal. As they run Garruk against the mirror now, you can run Ralzeric against them, and Acidic Slime cleans up the lands. Yeah, very similar plan. You've also got Sundering Growth, which is really adorable. Obviously, you can populate Peace tokens from Thragtusk or Huntmaster's Wolf tokens, but the most exciting potential populate has to be your Progenitor Mimic.
Progenitor Mimic actually won me my game against Junk Reanimator earlier today.
Okay.
I was in a board state where I had no lands. My opponent has a Lotla Troll, Vault of the Archangel. Lotla Troll has 1 counter on it. And I just played Acidic Slime, played Progenitor Mimic, and just copied my Acidic Slime a bunch of times and blew up all his lands and used Kessig to kill him.
That'll do the trick.
And then game 3, I played Thragtusk on 5, Progenitor Mimic on 6, and he just had no answer to 1,000 Thragtusks.
It's an incredible trump against Angel of Serenity as well, of course, but really just if that thing sits on the field for a turn or two, that's a huge advantage you've already gained just from that. Which is why it's my mythic ticket pick on Above the Curve. Well, Rudy, you're off to a reasonable start in the tournament. I believe you're 3-1 right now.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a good start. Good luck on the rest of the day.
Thank you.